It seems like that minute went by quickly. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 7:30 on December 5. Can bring this meeting of the Lake Boon Commission to order. All of us being present here tonight. There's one copy of the agenda up here if anyone wants to look at it, pass it around, whatever. Public comment, we usually ask that this be contained, constrained, addressing, whatever. Anything that's not on our agenda, but just something that might be on your mind that we should be thinking about going forward. Does anyone have any public comment? Yes.
Carolyn McDonald, 76 North Shore Drive. Based on the public meeting, it seems like the mission of the group, I forgot what it is, needs to be expanded if you're going to make rules around what to do with the lake in wintertime.
The mission of the commission is outlined, and thereby either things are allowed or not allowed by the statute passed in 1941. So it's beyond, I think since we were legislatively established, it would have to be changed by going back to the legislature and asking for special legislation. That's just off the top of my head.
Carolyn, there actually are rules, state rules that apply in the winter. The problem becomes, there's no one to enforce them. So if we get a cold winter like we expect to get, like they're telling us we're gonna get, and we get ice again, we're gonna get snowmobiles again. And they're not supposed to operate within 300 feet of a house, that's the law.
Yes, I understand that, but I think one of the bylaws.
Yes, the hole in the
thing
ice.
is the ice eaters.
Mhm.
That's something that's
Well, that's-
not within your purview
Well,
anymore, based on,
we didn't give permission for them to put it in. I think we're gonna be having a discussion about that later, so let's save it for
I'm
that.
not again, I like the
Right.
blue, but it just seems like something needs to be done around the mission.
Okay. Comment noted. If that's all, we'll go on to the minutes, get those out of the way. We have two sets, one of them going back to our last regular meeting held here on October 17. Have you had a chance to review those and
I have,
any comments or corrections, omissions?
no, I didn't find any. Chris, you're doing a great job on them. Thank you.
Thank you.
You would accept the motions on this?
Okay, motion to accept the minutes of the October 17, 2018 minutes as submitted.
Second? I'll second it, just for cleanliness. Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And the second set is more concise, from our hearing on November 14, held at the community center. It just kind of follows the flow of what was said that night, who said what, and then without
Well, not
extra,
who said what. What was,
down to a certain point, and then comments made without attribution.
Huh.
Just things to keep in mind, and I think we can approve, I believe, approve the minutes. I think they are reflective of what we did that night. We might want to come back to this document when we get down to
Yeah.
the other.
Well, I'm good with the minutes. Again, Chris,
Okay, you want
thank
to move
you.
it, please?
Yeah. I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the public hearing held on November 14, 2018, as submitted.
A second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, we'll refer back to that. Payment of bills. We have 3 items to talk about tonight. let's do the easy ones first.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'll do Solitude last.
I have two bills for the advertisement for the public hearing. One of them, $13, and the other one, $65. Shows, guess which one is Stow?
Have they been paid yet?
No,
So you're gonna submit them and pay them here?
that's what I'm doing tonight.
I'll make a motion that we approve those bills and have them paid.
Okay, in the amount of,
13, whatever the amounts are, I can't read it from here.
okay, $13.86 for the, what publication is that? That's the Hudson Sun. Just up here. And $65, I think I heard you move that as well.
I did.
That they were both of them, and that's for the Stowe Independent Press. There's sheets attached to both to show that they were in fact. And this gets submitted just to a regular bill, a regular
Regular process.
small administrative budget. So, pay those, I'll make copies after the meeting for you, after them and leave them for the accountant.
I'll do the Solitude one if you'd like.
Okay.
So-
Connie, you wanna,
Yes, so Solitude, there's a missing invoice in the amount of $1,461. And if it came, I never saw it. I have requested a new invoice. But what I'd like to do today, I'll submit this for approval, and then when we get it, it'll be approved and we can get it paid somehow.
well, yeah, because on this sheet that we all have, it goes back to November 1. There was a note that was due upon receipt was $14.61, which is the amount that
That's the
we're
one I'm
talking
talking
about.
about.
So it's been since November.
But I don't have that invoice.
I understand that. What I think we could do tonight, subject to your concurrence, the two of you, is approve the amount, sign this document, and then when you get the invoice,
Attach it?
attach
That'd
it.
be great, that'd be great.
So what we need to do is approve the amount.
Maybe if we sign this one instead.
That doesn't have anything on it,
Oh, I
as
see what
opposed
you're
to a
saying.
letterhead.
Yeah, no letterhead, right, because there's,
Yeah.
I have a different way of organizing.
And
it.
we need to apportion that,
Yep.
the 2/3, 1/3.
That's on the spreadsheet.
Pardon me?
That's on the spreadsheet.
It's on the spreadsheet, the 2/3?
Here's the one that Gary gave us.
You said it was 14. 15.
So, Andy already did that.
You got it already done?
Yep,
974 and 487?
yep.
Okay. So that's attached to this. So if you would like to make a motion to approve it in the total amount and specify the breakdown, and then we'll attach that to this, and then you have to get the
Yep,
invoice.
I got
from-
you, I got you. So I'll make a motion to pay the Solitude bill, which totals $1,462.50.
Wait,
Um,
1,461.
You need that right now.
No, it's just
461.
1,461.
61, oh.
Yeah.
Your number on the, it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
different.
there's a difference.
Yeah,
So, that's the amount.
Yeah.
and that breaks down to $974
Yeah.
due from Stowe, and $487 due from Hudson.
That'd be good.
And then I'll ask you to get,
Yep.
you can make copies of that. Get it back over here for payment for the Stowe portion, once you get the invoice.
Okay.
second that motion.
Okay, it's made and seconded. He's just noting on there what the apportionment is. No further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye, okay, thank you.
What were the numbers for the two? I've got it here. Don't I? You just gave me the spreadsheet. What did I do with it? Right here.
Yeah. Now,
Stow's piece of this.
when we get through tonight, I'll make copies of just this much, so we have something to hang on to while you
Yeah.
get the invoice to attach to it. I'll send it in.
I've requested a new copy of that invoice, so hopefully I'll get
Yeah.
it soon. Thank you.
Okay, let's move right along. Main item, we have a couple of other items we need to do too, but, discussion coming out of the hearing we held on the 14th. That's when I refer you back to the minutes, because Chris has pretty well, to my recollection, captured the gist of the comments that were made, some of which we might consider here, and some I don't think, would be beyond the scope of this document at this point. So,
So, maybe I'll,
we're
I don't know
still,
that do we wanna step through them all, or you wanna just sort of, our key takeaways, if there's anything that changes what we,
yeah,
from,
I
you know, from
think
our
if we
draft.
work off the V08 document, which is the one we had on the 14th,
Which I forgot to bring with me.
and anything that we might want to change is a result of, or incorporate, or delete, or whatever, as a result of these comments. I think just kind of open it up.
I don't know if either one of you are interested, but this is a copy of our original rules before the last change. Mimeograph, you probably did that.
Yeah, I don't have
The
an
old
extra.
real famous purple press, still
Is that
purple.
what it is?
After all these years,
Yeah.
but that should be the same document, I guess, right?
Yeah,
This
this
is the one that we
is the
put in
last
the
one.
front.
This is the one before the 83 change that was
That should
approved
be
in
archived.
85.
That should be archived, put in a plastic sheet.
Yeah.
Really, seriously, it's a history.
The town halls have them. But Linda and Joan both have copies as well.
Okay.
But yeah, I've got a whole pile of stuff that needs to be preserved. So,
Okay, maybe just take them up. You have coming down, that's just some of the,
Well, this was just my
okay.
highlights from when we were talking to it. So, I don't know if how you wanna take from the feedback and go to specific items, or do you wanna
Yes.
go down the line and just say, nothing changes our,
Right.
you know,
The
our
first
perspective
comment
on.
is, legal counsel has not reviewed the language. That, I think we answered that night. That remains the
Okay.
case. Jumping right into what we were talking about a minute ago, openings in the ice. Should be a defined process and consistent criteria for granting permission. That would be under administrative procedures. We can do,
Right, that's just
once we have
process.
the authority spelled out.
Yep.
I think before, when there was an instance of this coming up, it was handled even without a process, but in a
Mhm.
manner consistent with the authority. I know we gave this at the time to the fire chief and the police chief,
and the
and
fire chief wrote a letter.
and they used this as their authority to compel them to cease and desist.
Yeah.
So I think that we may, if it obviously becomes something we're gonna be dealing with on a more consistent basis, may wanna deal with some administrative language
Right,
but it doesn't affect this document,
Does not
my
change
opinion.
this,
I
yes.
agree.
Okay.
Mhm.
The only one that having said that, Rule 5, as it's amended to include the ice eaters, the last line of which says boats or similar, boat lifts or similar structures prevents ice from forming around boat docks, piers, boat lifts, or similar structures.
I don't have
That
a-
runs right into the item on the tail end of our agenda tonight about that
Actually-
aeration,
Actually, it doesn't. I'll talk about that.
because it's not a structure.
But no, they're not gonna aerate in the winter. Their
Okay, well,
permit's only gonna be
let's- yeah, let's-
from summer, basically, March to October.
Okay. Is that what was authorized by the,
Yes,
Hudson
Concom.
Concom?
I have notes on the Concom meeting I went,
okay,
and it went really well.
but suppose somebody else wanted to do it and proposed that they would,
Well, maybe,
doing,
maybe we went too far with that. Maybe we should have just left it,
without structures.
yeah, just left it kind of the way it was. I can't
Well,
remember
I'm
how
not
it's
sure,
read.
I'm not sure what your concern is, Don. So,
If
what
the-
we're saying
if-
is there, things in the, you know, whether it's considered a dock or it's a, you know, a float or it's whatever anybody wants to call it, it's a structure that's in the water.
Yeah.
If they want to have,
I'm not
some-
talking about that. I
okay,
think
then I'm not
I
sure.
mean, I don't know as this would allow us, for instance, the thing we'll talk about later, which we don't need to spend a lot of time on then,
mhm.
this aeration device. If they proposed out in the middle of,
Oh, I see, you're
The-
saying, is this
the
not
cove.
wide enough?
yeah,
Okay.
that how do,
Okay,
how do we enforce a $50 fine
I
on a
gotcha.
structure? They'll say,
Gotcha.
well, it isn't a structure, it's
Yep.
just a body of water.
Yep.
Yeah, but why don't we, maybe we went too far. The old rule was more inclusive. Because it says who shall make a nice opening greater than, period. Doesn't say where or for what purpose. So maybe by putting all those qualifiers in, we could have boxed ourselves in, and maybe we shouldn't do that.
Or make the definition of more applicable to any place, shall not place in the lake any device that prevents ice from forming without the permission of the Lake Boon Association, Commission. You know what I mean? Maybe leave it the first one, the 12 inches in diameter. That's when you're making a hole in the ice. This thing would not be making a hole, it's preventing it from freezing. So I think that's what we're addressing by that. So if it just read, and no person shall utilize any device that prevents ice from forming without permission of the Lake Boon Commission.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
See, would that sound right to you? You just take out,
well, except for,
Right.
okay,
take out everything after forming.
I know what you're saying, but so the first sentence would still apply.
Yes,
So we have the 12-inch diameter.
you can make a hole up
So-
to 12 inches without coming to
Okay.
anybody.
And so what we're really saying is anything beyond that requires anything. I'm just trying to figure out
Yeah.
how,
I would take out the word "and" because you shouldn't start a sentence with it
mhm,
and say, "No person shall utilize any device that prevents ice from forming." Delete the words "around boats, docks,
It might be,
boat lifts, or similar."
but an ice heater does make a hole in the ice.
Okay, but this is a device as opposed to making an opening. We're preventing it from forming as opposed to chopping a hole in ice that's already there. It's just,
The result is a hole either way.
but we're covering it both ways.
Yeah, I don't care.
You know, we've referenced ice eaters and everything for a lot of time in our
Yeah.
discussion. So let's put in devices that prevent it as opposed to creating a hole with an axe.
May actually be a problem this winter.
So Is that agreeable? That-
I'm still not clear what you want us to
I
say.
want the
that.
sentence to
Yep.
say,
Yep.
second sentence,
Mhm.
delete and,
Yes.
starts with, no person shall utilize any device that prevents ice from forming, delete all the thing up to the word without permission or
No matter how
permission.
big that hole
Forming.
might be.
Because nobody's gonna have a device that goes 1 inch full.
I never know. Okay.
I think that's broad enough that anybody, you know, comes up with an ice eater. Is that all right?
It's okay, that's what you did, you crossed out the middle of the sentence, perfect.
Okay. By agreement, and we'll, as far as the comment made earlier, well, how can we do that when we can't regulate machines on it? This is a general regulation as opposed to boating regulations. So I think there's some,
You, because it becomes a bylaw of the towns, it gives us the
it's a
authority to do it.
bylaw that just, like you can't throw leaves in the lake under this as well, or debris, et cetera. I think it's a little different than trying to regulate motorized, which we can't do because it exceeds our authority. And as inadequate as the explanation sounds, I go back to call the environmental police, call the Stow police, have it on record both places. If-
So my given kind of
That's a
the
response to the
feedback,
comment,
yeah,
but not for this purpose.
is that when we have town management or whomever is gonna review this, right? I would assume our legal counsel will also take a look, and this would be one we would just wanna make sure that, as it's stated, it falls within our jurisdiction to make that rule. You don't
No,
think we should ask that, or?
Because it's a bylaw
Yes,
for the town,
yes,
and it's gonna get submitted to town meetings.
okay,
The town meetings have the authority to make the
Okay.
bylaw.
okay,
So if the town meetings, both towns passes it,
okay.
that's where the authority comes from, it doesn't come
Okay.
from us. We're not approving these rules, we're submitting them for approval by the towns.
Okay.
Subtle difference,
Yeah.
but
I see what you're saying, so it's really not us.
it's not us, it's the
Gotcha.
town.
We're recommending these changes
Yeah.
to town meetings. Okay, so that takes care
That's
about that.
helpful, thank you.
Continue to be issues with speeding in the narrows despite no wake buoys. I mean,
There's nothing you can do.
Well, I
with
think
that.
the key one on this one was we removed reference to, like, previously, it said something like the
Where are
narrows
you? I'm
between,
sorry.
I'm sorry, voting regulations rule 1.
You jumped down there, okay.
Well, he jumped to,
well, I'm going in order of the comments.
that is, this we didn't,
No, I didn't do that one, but I don't think we need to address that one. I think we
no, no,
answered that, right?
no,
Well, number
this
12.
was the one I'm talking about right now. You jumped to this one, the speeding in narrows.
You jumped, we didn't finish the first one.
All right,
So which one, which one do you wanna be on here?
We really should
Rule
be on
7?
rule number 7.
Okay, so rule 7, I think this was just a comment, and a question to us was, why didn't we have anything around competency for motorized boat operation? We responded to that.
Where are you? I'm
on
getting
the
confused.
comments.
General
On the minutes.
regulations.
Right, that's what this is. Oh, never mind, I got the wrong document, my bad. This is the right document. I got 2 copies. No, this is the same document.
You need a copy?
No, I got 2 copies here,
On the
actually.
minutes.
Doesn't that match with you? What I printed, Chris gave me.
Here's, is
This one.
that what you have?
Rule 7,
Oh, I looked at the wrong minutes.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
So I don't think
Yeah,
we
I
need to
don't
do
think there's anything we
anything
need to do
relative
with
to
that.
what's the,
No.
the comment that came through on rule 7.
Yeah.
Tanya, you okay on that?
Yes, I am, rules.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get synced back
Yep.
up with you. I got too many pieces of paper here.
So now we're down to voting, on the comments. Voting rules, Rule 1, speed. Concern that by removing reference to the actual locations of the narrows, folks might not know where they are. That ties into the same general subject of the first three comments there, really.
Yeah, the next one.
They're all to do with buoys and narrows.
The narrows have never been defined except.
Well, they were.
They were.
Sort of the narrows between 1 and 2, and
And
between 2 and 3.
2 and 3.
So it gave people this, concept, and we removed that kind of extra verbiage.
Yeah, and I was thinking, just for that reason.
So you're on the speed of the rules, a little too
Yeah, but
speed?
let's go from this document,
Oh, I see.
VO 8, the one that we brought at the hearing, just so there's no
That's the
confusion.
one I think he doesn't have a copy of right now.
I do have,
Oh.
I found it.
B, 1B, speed in any of the narrows. I would suggest, it doesn't hurt, it further clarifies,
Well,
to put back in parentheses between basins 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4.
Okay, so
So
in
that-
this particular reference in the previous rules,
We didn't change it.
we didn't
It's
change it.
identical to what it used to be.
There's some other place in
Okay.
our things that we did call it out, but in this
Well,
one, we did not.
maybe in the first
This is
one,
legitimate.
is where we should put it in. Put it in one place or the other, once you don't need to repeat it twice.
Find where it was previously.
I'm a little confused, but that's okay.
Yeah, that is the first time we're in voting.
No, I know, I'm
regs.
just saying it doesn't reference it there, but there was some place in our old rules where it did.
And here's the old rules right here.
First time it appears should be under the low 1 speed.
You know, here. I don't see any definitions of narrows anywhere. We've always defined it by the buoys and we put them in.
Well, but the narrows are there, whether the buoys are there or not.
That's true.
And you remember we had one gentleman, I think we both remember, who used to come to our meetings claiming there was no such thing as the fourth basin.
Yes.
Oh, so there's where, there used to be underwater skiing, so in the original, underwater skiing, C, the first one under that talked about prohibited in the narrows between first and second and third, and third and fourth at all times. So I think we stripped that out also and just referenced the narrows.
But maybe we stripped out
And-
too much.
Maybe, it wasn't in the other rule.
But under VO 8, in this most recent document, the first time
Yeah.
it appears is in Rule 1B.
That's true.
Well, we've still
Yeah.
got, it's in the proposal,
Yeah.
in any of the narrows, we just made it simpler, you're right.
Correct,
But
that's what
maybe
we
we made
did.
it too simple.
So there's no definition of what the narrows are.
Correct.
I have no trouble putting the old wording back in.
But put it into the first reference rather
First
than wait
reference,
until
yeah.
water
Yep.
skiing.
First time it comes up.
Take that sentence out.
So-
Do you have the original rules?
Yeah. So that's the water skiing and skipboard riding is prohibited in the narrows between the first, the second and the third, and the third and the fourth basins at all times.
That's the sentence.
So, but that's not skipboard, we put it in,
I know, so you have to actually add this kind of verbiage into
So I take the
this
word
one.
prohibited out there and say the narrows are defined as, something like that. Because it's not just water skiing we care about now, you don't want,
Yeah,
it's speed in
speed in
those
the
areas.
narrows,
Right.
and so you
and
wanna
later
add
it-
some,
later it says no
a,
water skiing in the
and
narrows.
so you
Add a
kinda
second
wanna,
sentence.
add a second sentence that says,
The
The
narrows
narrows
are.
are
Narrows are.
defined as,
yeah,
those areas. What, between?
Yeah, between the first, just the way it sits
Yeah.
right here. You know, it's still gonna be vague.
Yeah, it is, 'cause where's the area starts and ends?
Yeah, we define it with our buoys every year. That's why I leave them in late and put them in early.
Where was it? Which one? Oh, down here.
So,
It's defined as,
Yeah, I have it for me. Got it.
okay.
did you that liked green paper?
Hmm?
Was it you that liked green paper?
Yeah. Well, we had a bunch of it, that's why I remember printing those on, having it printed on. We did a bunch of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got 5 or 6 more copies of it at home.
Okay.
Okay,
So
so
does that
that,
address all of the things, let's see, all the bullets under?
yeah, I think we're gonna get
Not
into
quite,
the,
yeah. So we're not doing anything with the buoys. All right, so the first 3 bullets on Rule 1.
this addresses
This
all of
addresses those
those.
three.
And anything else, I would like to, I think one of the things that we heard, that comes up later, but, is that we need to do a better job of education. And I think that we need to figure that one out.
Yeah, but that's
Um,
not our,
But
Not in the bylaws.
not in the
Right.
bylaws,
Correct.
but
Yeah.
I think once the bylaws are there, we talk about
yeah,
ways to distribute that, maybe get copies of the little booklets
Yep.
from environmental police, all that kind of stuff, which will, since we draw a reference to 90B and voting laws, we
Mhm.
should make it available as much as we can.
okay, so we're on the next bullet.
Okay, so that one is all right by agreement?
Which, the
One
the
you
first-
you just wrote that one.
Yes.
Um,
So this next one is around more emphasis on responsibility for property damage and erosion possibility. So
We can't
we
do-
introduced on A, Rule 1, Speed A, we had introduced a simple statement, and it's just, you know,
Yeah.
or property
Yeah.
damaged. So I don't think we need to change anything, I don't think we wanna become more specific or make it bigger or bolder. I don't think we can define it anymore.
It's also defined by the state.
Correct.
Or operate the same, manipulate, or excuse me, in a manner. Yeah, that would come in about, I think we put it in here, the mental note, that when we start talking about education, we paraphrase or quote directly
It's in,
Captain Walker,
yeah, it's in the little book.
that the boat owner or operator is responsible for the wake the boat creates.
That's in the book.
Yeah, so.
Whatever damn,
So
that's part of
let's-
our
let's
education
hold off on, yeah,
emphasis, yeah.
on what we would do for education and get through these. So that one we're gonna leave as is.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Next
The
one.
next one. So this one has to do with, the quiet hours and waiver.
Specify
Yep.
which holiday.
So that's
Yours is
D.
C, right?
It's
D.
D on our,
Yeah.
yep, our version.
So the original wording on that,
Yep.
by the way, I have
Was
over here.
including.
No, that's what you changed in 85. The original wording, by the way, it did say. The original wording actually called out all Sundays, and then it labeled the Memorial Day, 4th of July, and Labor Day, and didn't have the holiday thing on it. That was the way it was originally written. In the and holidays, you added in, when you did your 1985 revisions of the rules.
Okay, but that's what we're dealing with now, is the way it is. But, but I think, I would like to suggest for discussion, under the spirit of compromise, that we specify 4 holidays. Memorial Day, Labor Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, and Columbus Day. We talked about the other one, and the other end is,
It's Patriots Day and Columbus Day are the only two that count, because like right now, the lake's frozen. I don't know
Yeah.
about where you are, but it is
yeah,
where I am.
yeah. but I could live with that.
Like that. Okay.
We've heard a lot of comment, both sides on this one, right?
Yeah.
That people feel strongly that the holidays are a time for quiet time.
Well, we have quiet time on almost all the holidays anyway. So if you look at all the state holidays, it's iced over, most of them.
Well,
It's only those two.
I'm just saying, by referencing that we're going by the Massachusetts state holidays, we're out of the business of defining what they are. It's very clear to the police and enforcement that if it's a holiday, it's enforceable.
But by Don's definition, it's just as clear.
Well,
It's the 4 holidays.
Well, it has to be clear that it's the days those are celebrated.
Well, that's different.
So,
That's true regardless of whether there's 10 holidays or 4. That has to be defined. Or, yeah, I don't think it does, because by practice, it has been when the holiday is observed.
well, I think that was
Holidays
why
on-
there was some confusion at some point as to when that quiet hours would apply on something like a 4th of July that fell on a Sunday. The 4th itself fell on a
Mhm.
Sunday, so was Monday
Yes,
a quiet hours.
yes.
But was Sunday.
Sunday
Sunday's
Sunday was a
always-
Sunday.
Sundays
After
are
Sunday.
Sunday.
Oh, Sunday's
It's always a
Sunday.
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 But let's take it a different day. That's a bad example. Let's use it Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah,
Or-
so that's why I think
I
we're
don't think
very
you wanna,
clean.
you don't want 2 quiet hours just
Well, you
because the
wouldn't have-
observed is
no.
2 quiet hour days. You can have one or the other.
No, I think that whatever is the state holiday is what we observe as the quiet time.
Okay.
So
if
let's do
it's-
Saturday and Sunday. So what you're saying is if the 4th is on a Saturday,
Yes. If it was state observed it on,
Then they observe Fridays.
they don't,
it's
we don't
holiday, right?
actually use, so that's just it. The state, when we get to define them, they'll define them as the Monday holiday. That's kind of, with the exception of like Thanksgiving, which,
what I'm trying to avoid is ending up with 2 quiet days on the 4th, one on the observed and one on the physical 4th. So,
It's only gonna happen about once every 4 or
well,
5
no, we
years.
wouldn't anyhow, because whatever is considered the state holiday. Right, I mean, how would we do that even now, because this is it says the 4th, are we talking, previously, if it called out the 4th, what would we have as
before
the
it would've-
Independence Day?
it would have
Right.
been the 4th.
Well,
It goes
The 4th
back
is
to-
actually easy because that's a physical date.
right,
Memorial Day and Labor Day move around a little bit.
Correct.
But they're always labeled, they're always a Monday, if I remember.
Labor's
right.
always a Monday. Labor Day's always a
Yep.
Monday.
So it's
So
Memorial
you
Day.
always have Sunday
Sunday,
and
Monday.
Monday, and that gets a situation.
Yeah, yeah.
The 4th will jump around because of where it happens to fall during the week. But I think you go back to, I think it was Carolyn that brought up the Secretary of State, the one that puts out the dates of the official state holiday, which may differ from, that it would be observed on a Monday if it fell on a Sunday.
yeah, that's always on the state,
But,
that's posted
that
on
won't be
our,
every year.
on the state.
It's only every once in a while.
yeah,
Yep.
and leap years complicate it further. I mean, if you could start projecting them out, it would not happen.
Will not.
But I'm just opening up for
Well, with
discussion.
global warming, we may be swimming in November.
No, actually, global
think we're-
warming is over.
That's climate change.
Climate change, okay, climate change.
Climate change is, the sun's going to something called a grand solar minimum. If you research it, you're not gonna be a happy person. I have no trouble leaving it the way it is. Either way, Don, I like your,
Well, leaving it the way it is,
'Cause
it's
there's-
all holidays.
yeah, because some people, like, they're off on the trouble with both Columbus Day and
Patriots.
Patriots Day.
Patriots Day is it gets dark early, so the lake shuts down just by the fact it gets dark. Whereas if you gave one of those days back to people who wanted to do power boating, it's kind of interesting.
You still have, the power voters still have up until 2 o'clock, right? on every day. It's just, to me, it's like
The
just.
lake is quiet almost all the time.
You can say that, but people, you can't, as a non-motorized boater, you cannot count on that. So you know, we shouldn't, most of us will not be out in the middle of the lake at a time when it's not quiet hours.
Yeah.
It's just because it's neither safe nor is it courteous, right? So,
More comfortable.
yeah, but, so to me, that's kind of where we had gotten to, is that it's the Massachusetts state holidays. It's Sundays, the Massachusetts state holidays. In most cases, that in fact has very little effect on motorboating and wakes.
So when you guys, non-motorized canoers are out in the cold?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Patriots
Yeah.
Day is usually cold.
Kayakers
Yeah.
are crazy
Yeah.
people. They're out there.
Yeah.
The minute the ice is out, you got kayaks out there.
Yeah.
Not so much canoes anymore. Everybody's
Kayaks and
kayaks and
paddleboards.
paddleboards instead.
I'd like your compromise still,
Well,
just because it
I
is.
threw it out there for
cold.
discussion. I can be convinced either way. I mean, addressing comments that were made.
Yeah.
Um, Somebody make a motion. I don't know what to
I
say.
motion we move forward with it as written.
I'll second it for discussion.
And then-
I second your motion. If somebody
for
seconded it, we can't
discussion.
even discuss it.
Oh,
Well, we had a pretty good discussion already. I favor Don's proposal, just because, you know, you get two holidays, and you give one to the people with non-motorized use, and you open it up for motorized use on the other one.
Okay, but mine then specified, my suggestion specified the 4.
Right.
Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, and Columbus Day.
Yeah. Just calling out those 4 in the definition. Makes it real clear.
Practically speaking, I would think, now maybe somebody in the Polar Bear Club can make a different argument, that it is more likely people would be swimming at the end of the season in October, after the waters have been warming all summer, than they would be on April.
11.
but this is not just about swimming.
No, but-
This is
no, but-
non-motorized use of the lake.
But we particularly
can-
heard from swimmers,
No,
more so, I think that I
Well,
heard that more frequently.
I think that's because we've heard from both. We've heard from people
Right.
who've had their kayaks and canoes swamped because of a wake. So just know that there is a feeling that it is not safe to be a non-motorized boat out in the middle of the lake when it's not quiet hours. And so people count on those quiet hours, and I think it's a
I think
It's a
you're
very
cor-
simple
I think
thing.
you're correct on the summer and Sundays, but I'll tell you, I've sat on the shore on those days. Nobody out there. You know, I understand the emotion behind it, but I also, when you look at the lake, there's no one out there. So, you know, I know it's kind of an emotional issue as much as anything, but like I said, it's a good compromise. You give, the good day is Columbus Day, because that's when it's always nice. When we're a couple Patriots Days, the damn lake was still frozen.
I think there are quite a lot of people that, no matter what the state law says about holidays, they work on, that they are not paid holidays off. And some people do, depends on your employer,
yes. What does that
in
got to do
April.
with it?
because it affects less people than if you were saying, you know, but both the weather, time of year, you're not gonna- likely to have swimmers and they'd be unlikely to have kayakers. But you're talking about 4 hours out of the year.
Either way.
One on either end.
Either way, well, what I'm saying, it's also only 4 hours for not having wakes.
I don't know, I like the compromise. I've had a lot of the voters come to me and say, how come I can't use the lake on those days? So,
Sure.
you know, those times, especially when you're sitting on a dock, looking at an empty lake with nobody on it. And, you know, and then if one of them goes out, somebody calls the police on them, and it's, you know, but yet no one's using the lake. It's not getting used on those, much on those days, period. So,
Okay, so your motion was to leave it the way it is.
Mhm.
you know, we have to deal with her motion before we can
That's
create
right.
our
That's
motion.
right. So you seconded it, so are we going to vote on that, or?
Yeah, vote on, call for a vote. All in favor of leaving it the way it is, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No.
All right,
Um,
so it didn't carry, right?
No.
So I'd like the motion that we turn this to say 4 holidays. My motion would be that we change
On the
this.
following state holidays:
Okay,
Memorial Day, 4th of July,
Labor Day.
Labor Day, Columbus Day.
Now it's very clear. I like that.
I'll second the motion.
Now, what about Patriots Day?
That is not included in the motion.
Too cold to vote then anyways.
It would have been under the generic one, because it would have included about 11 holidays. Suggesting that it specify quiet hours on those 4 days only. You know, as people, I've been through a lot of bow slings and arrows over this general subject for a lot of years. And I can see both sides of it. I think this is it's a reasonable compromise. Each side gets something clearly, and this is something it's a political document, we've got to pass it at town meeting.
Yep.
So,
Both town meetings.
both town meetings, and it has to be in the exact same form.
Yep.
So, all right, so
Are you seconding?
moved and,
This motion?
it's moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, those in favor of specifying those 4 holidays to be added to the language in D?
All right.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
No.
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 He eyed on the no last time.
I screwed up last time.
Okay.
So the only, we're almost done, right?
Yeah,
So we have the-
because we already talked about that the 90B regs are not gonna be in there. They're going,
No,
they
we
will
got
be.
Rule 2,
Pardon me?
Rule 2,
Well, oh, yeah.
so,
Somebody said they'd rather have 3. We're already changing the law to comply with
You mean people on the tube right now?
2 on a tube.
yeah.
Yeah,
we
the
want-
comment is, and I kind of agree with it, I had to think about it a lot, is we get a lot of people that want to take 1 adult and 2 kids on the big tubes, because they got 2 kids and they want to be out there. I think that's where that comment came
Well,
Might be.
from.
but what we agreed to get to this document, and I don't think there was any disagreement on this one among the 3 of us,
No, I'm happy at 2.
was the old law rule said 1.
One person.
And we collectively, over the years, looked the other way
Yeah, that's
on
right.
it, which didn't make, it has always bothered me.
Because when the original, the
For
toys
what-
that exist now
Yeah,
are different.
But regardless,
Yeah.
I think that what we're doing is recognizing by changing it to what we commonly accept as a safety issue. And, sorry, I guess, I father and 1 kid at a time.
Yeah, I'm not, I don't feel strong either way.
Okay.
I could go with either 2 or 3.
Well,
I'd like to
I'd like
stick with
to-
the two.
leave it with 2.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
So we don't need a. in the
Don't
motion
need to
on that,
vote,
'cause
no,
we're not
because
gonna
it's
change
that
it.
way anyway.
Yeah.
The water skiing, we're not gonna introduce.
No, I think that was discussed, that was kind of
Are we in agreement, we're not addressing
Yeah.
additional water skiing timelines?
Snowmobile, Winter Lake. 90B is going to be, it will not be part of the bylaw, but it will still, we need to have those helpful,
Right, the education piece.
well, the education, but also the document references. When we print it, not to
Yeah.
not to send to the state,
Right,
but it will be,
part of our website, part of whatever, yep.
well, when we get to that, I've got one question on one of them, but we can handle that later.
Where are you, Don? Okay.
No, I think that addresses
This is the rule.
Yep.
all of the comments that were made that night.
Yep,
So we're
Um,
gonna need to have a cleaned up copy of this.
yes.
Yeah. And then we gotta talk about the process to make
Right.
sure that
Right.
we all, you talk to,
Once I get a cleaned up set of copies,
Yeah.
I'm gonna meet with my town manager, but not
yeah,
until I
and
have a
see
cleaned
what
up copy.
he needs to have.
Yeah.
Because it may be a different process than Stowe uses. We
Yeah, it
think
will
so.
be a different process.
That- But as
Maybe.
long as the language is what's voted on, is the same. It doesn't, the process can vary. I think town clerk indicated that there should be some kind of pointing out where things have changed from one to the other, which gets a little tricky.
Which is, the only really way to do that is like the memo I put together.
Yeah,
You
so-
can't,
so you
you
put
can't
together
do
the-
a
Well,
comparison because numbers have changed and,
that's why the easiest way
So-
for me is to say, delete the entire document and substitute this document for it.
Which is what you did the last time. Exactly what you did
Yeah.
last time.
Well, but you have a different town clerk now than you had last time, so.
Yeah.
We get that hurdle to
I
get
mean,
over.
Dorothy's not here anymore?
But just,
Oh, no, this is Hudson, I bet. yeah,
just on the footnote, what does this mean?
oh, so there is in fact,
A document with
Yeah,
that title?
yep, there's a document, there's a website, it's it's part of the law.
But doesn't that just confuse
I
things
don't
when
know,
you
you
talk about
can-
bylaws in other towns?
It actually has some of our bylaws in it. So I don't know how it got to be.
I mean, sorry, what are you
I'm
talking about?
talking about the last footnote reference.
Oh, I thought we weren't gonna have those.
Well,
They were only references, so it makes no
Correct, they're
difference
not gonna be
either way.
part of the
yeah,
bylaws.
all right, so, but I think that just confuses things, so we can
Yeah.
talk about that
Yes,
when
that.
when it comes, if
right,
it's
'cause
passed and we
that will not
decide to
be
print it.
on what we,
Right,
The
Send it to
warrant
town.
articles won't include the references.
and you've got to have it into them. Yeah, Dick,
Dick Cummings, Davis Road. I just wanted back on the Narrows issue, voting rule 1B. I did make a comment at the hearing, and I didn't hear you discuss it here. Just adding maybe some wording saying, a little phrase maybe saying, speeding in the Narrows, whether marked with the buoy or not. Whether or not marked with the buoy, just consider that, adding that wording, because some people, when the buoys aren't there, they just think it's a free-for-all, apparently.
That's true.
Just, I just didn't hear you
Okay,
discuss that
no, we
comment
didn't.
Well,
that I
we-
made.
well,
We
we
did- we kind of- right.
glommed all the comments together.
right,
I wouldn't be opposed to that.
I'm not either.
It does make it a little clearer if you kind of,
So,
Ask the police
no
to
speeding in
enforce
the
it.
narrows at any time of the year, or something like that.
put back to it.
I just thought, the phrase whether or not,
Yeah.
they're marked.
The trouble with that is, where do they start and where do they end?
yeah, I think I understand what he's saying, but that's, the fact that you're saying it's in the Narrows, that is whether or not. We're
Plus,
not,
we have people that ignore the buoys and go flying by them anyway.
Well, that's an enforcement issue, but,
I just didn't know if you
Yeah.
had considered, because I didn't hear specifically
No, we
discuss that
didn't
comment.
actually talk specifically about it, so you're right.
You know, I think the way it is,
just leave it alone.
leave it alone.
Leave it alone?
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
all right.
So we're talking about
That
next
doesn't-
steps?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but if, for instance, Mike Solisi got a call and was standing on Kathy Miles' dock and saw somebody come flying through there, if he had a way to stop him, even though the buoys are out because it's past season, he could track the boat down, go do something. I mean, it does not, yeah, because we don't mention buoys at all, that's 365 days a year.
Dick, I think we should put the
It's
cameras
clear to
back
me,
up.
I'm not sure who, if some others use an excuse that they're not there to do it.
We should put the trail cameras back up. Get pictures of them. We tried that once, remember? Maybe we can do it again. I've got a couple
Okay.
trail cameras.
Well, that's off the.
That's all I
that's-
just hadn't heard
Yes.
you discuss
Okay,
that.
Yep.
that's off the discussion, so we're through with that.
Yeah. So we were starting to talk about next steps for what we have to do in preparing this for the warrant. So we need a cleaned up copy.
Cleaned up copy, which will not have any
Yeah.
reference on it, other than, let's put a date that we approved it. So we have some way to identify the document. You know, recommended.
Well, it'll be
by the-
version. Yeah, it'll be
Recommended
version.
by Lake Boone Commission for adoption on December 5. Good. 'Cause otherwise your documents
The
don't have no.
follow-up document's gonna look like this, once we get through town meeting.
What's that?
Once we get through town meeting, we then have to go to the state, and that's gonna look like that document.
But this one just deleted a specific section.
Right, this
And
time,
replaced
we're
it.
gonna say replace with. We're gonna just do replace the
Yeah.
entire.
But
rule set.
the other thing is, you need to, when you talk to Tom Moses, differentiate between general regulations.
In voting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I'm assuming that the entirety of this has been approved in Hudson before. But those don't have to go to environmental,
Correct. Only the voting regs do.
yeah. So there's two different processes,
Yeah.
but, so first thing is get cleaned up copy with today's state reference to what I mentioned.
Yep, so
And
when
get
do
it.
we need to get it, Hudson is the first, right? So when do we need to
No,
have that?
you need the end of January, but
No, I
as
know
soon as
that,
possible.
but I understand, so when, cause I'm not gonna get to that in the next 2 days, we're away this weekend, so earliest is.
Taking
Yes.
personal time?
Yes,
You can't
no,
do that.
weekend time.
Um,
So,
I-
you know,
I'm
is
good,
the beginning
but
of next week sometime,
Yes.
the
Yeah, that'd
middle
be-
of next
yeah,
week is
yeah.
fine, okay.
Do we need to technically meet to?
No.
We don't? So once that cleaned up copy is,
No,
we're done?
because as long as, check our notes, make, each of us,
Okay.
make sure that
Yep.
the notes that we made tonight.
Yeah, Chris,
discussion-
anytime next week is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, early in the week,
Okay.
be good, and that way, and then, are you ever around the time when the town clerk is around? No. I'm just thinking, if I get some explanation that involves word processing stuff that I'm not up to, but let me
I
start.
mean, I can,
But,
if we wanna
Don,
schedule a
Don, if
call
you-
with her, I could probably,
I am good at word processing, so if you have an issue with it, let me know, I'll help you.
Yeah. Well, she's got all the documents, she's got
well,
all.
he'll have it
Well,
too.
the whole thing in
As soon
there.
as I send
We'll all
them.
have it,
Yeah.
because she's gonna give us a Word doc.
Right,
Yeah. So, all right.
You are
so
doing Word, not Google Docs, right?
right.
Yeah.
All right, so you'll check with Hudson.
Okay, so that's-
I'll take that document, I'll start to work it here, and then let you know what we need to do.
Yeah, you'll get the warrant article wording correct in Stowe, and I'll get it correct in Hudson. That's the town manager. will help us do that. Or town clerks, one or the other.
Yeah, typically it's.
So we've gone down to
It's the
budgets now?
selectmen, because it's,
Huh?
the selectmen are responsible for the warrant. But the town clerk
The
has to.
selectmen's approve it, but someone has to create it for your approval,
Well,
right?
our secretary creates it,
Yeah,
but technically it's under general law, so it's
Yep.
select.
yep, I understand. But it gets approved a lot easier if the
Okay.
word's right.
FY operating budget. I kind of glossed over the fact that last year, showing how frugal we are, when we took out the big chunk of money from paying patrol, our current budget this year is 1,500 for expenses, not 3,000.
Yep. But I have a problem in Hudson, I have to be careful, because I don't, what about is Stowe building back the patrol hours?
That's when you need to talk to
I will.
Moses about.
So, okay, I'll worry about what I have in Hudson, but you worry about what our budget will be.
I mean, I can, because we used to bill that back, that's part of it, when we had a larger budget.
Yeah. Yeah, so last year's budget was like 6,000 or 7,000 total, including the 5,000 for patrol.
Well, we put it in that way, but then I think the final approved budget, they took it out. The manager said, the administrator said, we're gonna put that in the police budget instead.
Okay. It's not a big deal for Hudson. They already went and submitted my budget without asking me. They just put in the same as last year. Well, I actually told them that it wouldn't change. But there's two issues here. One is how I budget in Hudson. I've got to talk to them about the patrol hours, because they may want to budget it differently. And then, so basically, we're gonna do the same budget we did last year?
The expense budget was
Yeah.
1,500.
Yeah. And,
It's on
A
this,
total of
on this,
1,500?
yeah.
and what have we spent, do you know? We didn't spend 1,500.
No, but I can't tell you.
No, don't worry about it. I just.
I mean, we had it broken out because it's on this Excel thing, you gotta put it somewhere. Had repairs and maintenance of equipment is 500, 600 for vehicles, trailers and boat. Lab and water analysis expense, did we ever do that? Have we done that
We
recently?
used to. You're supposed to
We're
do that
supposed
as part of drawdown. That's in the,
Yeah.
orders and conditions for drawdown, so they should have been water samples
And
taken.
supplies, other 200, I think that was the gas for the boat. We estimated $200 for that.
So,
So, let's just say, so we've done it, that we created the budget, okay.
yeah,
that's
so I'll make a motion that we, just submit this year's budget. identical
Operating
to
budget
that.
of 1,500,
Yeah, yes.
second. Second on that,
Oh, seconded.
okay. Um, Okay. All in favor, aye, aye.
Aye.
Right, now, also need the Solitude budget for next year. This is for the fiscal year starting July 1, which is the new big year treatment. We have money in to pay for the
Right. We have to get
the spring trick
Springtown meeting has to approve our money so we can pay for it.
for next year, if it's starting July 1, but we still have money,
Yes, but we have to.
yeah.
It's really tricky because we're gonna get in a little bit of trouble this year. I don't know how much money's left over in the Stowe budget. I know what I've got left, but I don't know what you've got left. Because, Andy, if you can help us, we're gonna, if we sign that new contract, right?
Yeah,
When's the first payment due?
usually it's,
And that's gonna be this is a big year.
it would be around 20. on, May first.
Yeah, so 20,000 on May 1st, which means I've got to have, I'm going to call it 21,000 just because I can do that math in my head, which means we have to have.
It's closer to 21.
Yeah, so you have to have 7,000 in the Hudson budget to pay that on May 1st, and you have to have 14,000 in the Stow budget to pay it on May 1st. But we should have put money in a year ago for that. So do you know how much do you have,
No, I don't have
okay.
it.
So what I'm gonna suggest is you get yourself a ledger history report and find out what your warrant article balance is. Mine is Hudson is very healthy.
What does that mean, very healthy?
It means, well, I'm guessing, because I don't know how to read this exactly right, I haven't got back to Tricia. But it's like 17,000. And what I will do is, once I understand what our new numbers are, I'll put my warrant article in for enough money to beef this up for the next year. But that's what I've done for a long time. I've always had a little, carried forward a little money so that we can do it.
Okay. So what's the number?
The number is 42,000, Andy?
Just go with 42, it's 41,750.
Yeah, 42,000.
And then 50% is the first payment on May first. That's the way they did the previous contract.
It's for FY, it's in the calendar year, but it's for the budget, we gotta have it in FY '20.
Right.
And then, well, and
Well-
then they do June 1st is 25%. July 1st, 15%, November
I
1st,
thought 3 years
10%.
ago that you got far enough ahead with this, so this was not a problem.
Well, that's why I said it is not a problem in Hudson. I am far enough ahead with it in Hudson, but I need to, so I think what we need to do here tonight is make a motion to approve the, is that a legal submit process they gave us? Is that a proposal?
This,
Yes.
they said that they're hard numbers, it's just not a contract.
Okay, so, I guess I'll,
Yeah, make it a specific number.
yeah, make a proposal that we approve $42,000.
Well, that's not the number for that sheet.
No, these sheets don't count, only that sheet counts.
41,750.
Yeah, call it 42,000, make it even. Propose that we approve a weed budget for FY '20 of, Don, we can't do this right, because you don't know what your budget, you don't know what your dollars are.
Well, what are we approving the 40, sorry, that's, so what are we,
We're
a motion to
gonna-
approve the 42K
Yeah, let's
for
just
what?
stop for a second,
Okay.
I'll explain. We're gonna have to sign a new contract with Solid. That new
Mhm.
contract will be $42,000,
Okay,
41,750.
that's, but the new contract here said 73.
That's over
That's
3
the
years.
total for 3 years.
3 years, okay, gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha, okay.
You scared me.
Yep, nope, got it.
Year 1, year 2,
Yep,
year 3.
got it, I got it. Okay,
So the problem, Chris, is that we have to pay Solitude on the physical year,
Mhm.
but we have to work on budget years, which are June 30th to July 1 to June 30th, right? So it makes it difficult for how we budget. So we have to actually approve the money ahead of time, get it in the warrant article, get it,
But unlike operating budgets, special articles carry forward from year to year.
correct.
Unspent balance.
Correct. So basically, what we've done is created an unspent balance
mhm,
that's available in springtime
so that you,
to pay the bill when
Yep.
it comes.
yep,
And so I think what we have to do here is we have to approve the
The amount,
amount
pay the
for
contract.
for the what's the right word? The upcoming Solitude contract. So my proposal should be to approve the expenditure of $42,000 with Solitude for lake management.
Who actually signs the contract?
Gradley. Bill signed the last couple.
Okay.
Because he's the contracting officer for
And
Stowe.
the LBC, yeah.
Yep, so he's our contracting officer, so
Okay.
he'll sign it, but we need to pre-approve it, and then what you need to do is figure out what to put on your warrant articles, and I believe that's Stowe specific and Hudson specific, so I'll figure it out with my town manager, and we'll make the warrant article for Hudson, and you figure it out for your.
Well, that's why it ought to be a number divisible by 3 instead of 42,000.
Divisible by 3.
Actually, that is divisible by 3.
It needs to be.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it
It
is
is.
divisible by 3.
It is.
All right.
It's like it's
Okay.
divisible by 3.
14,000 times 3.
28 and 14.
So you'll need 28, we need 14.
Okay. All right,
But
well,
we gotta be really careful with this, though, because I hate this, 'cause my brain gets tied in knots. The reason we have to be careful of it is that there's money in our warrant articles right now to pay what's coming up. But we've gotta have money in order to pay what comes up the following year.
Right.
So,
And the following year is the
well,
smaller
yeah,
one.
because a year from May 1st, we're gonna owe them money again, and that,
Right.
there has to be money.
50% of the 1,600, 16,000, right?
What's the yearly cost in years 2 and
So
3?
the second-
15,600.
Yeah, so let's say
25.
16,000, so we would have to pay
Cost.
50% of that in the spring,
Yeah,
right, of the,
So you guys have,
yeah.
so,
Plus 25%, you know, so really,
then the next,
at June, so
Yeah,
there's 2
okay,
payments before
okay.
July 1st.
yeah, gotcha.
right, so what year would that
Well,
be?
2 invoices
We're
before
in-
July
Yeah.
1st.
So in 2020, right,
In 2020, yeah,
we have to have the ability to pay that bill,
yeah,
right?
yes.
So when you do your warrant articles, right, that's why you need the ledger report like this. You gotta look at your balance and figure out how to keep your balance big enough to pay this year and next year. Now, I don't know what your numbers are, so I can't, I used to always get those when I was chairman. But I had the, yeah, just send an email to Julie and she'll send them to you right away.
Yeah.
Do you have questions on that, or you got it? Chris?
No, I think I understand that now.
So the motion basically is to approve an expenditure of 42,000,
Appropriation.
appropriation of 42,000 to be used for weed management on Lake Boon and contracted out to Solitude Lake Management. I think we need to put all that in, don't we?
Yeah.
And then when we get the actual contract, we can approve the contract and then give it to Bill, and Bill will sign it. But we're gonna have a meeting to approve the contract, I believe. So we're gonna get a contract soon?
Yeah.
In January,
Before January.
before January.
I think so.
And the year-end report at the same
Yeah.
time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because the yearly report has to go to the Concoms.
Okay. Did we vote on that? No. No, we moved it. Did you get the motion? 42,000
Yeah, so
appropriation.
for lake management to be delivered by Solitude, essentially, that
Weed management.
weed.
Lake weed management.
Lake weed.
And I don't know how you do it this is the wording we use in Hudson. I don't know if it's. I don't know which one I gave. Is that the invasive weed control? Or
Yeah.
these are the 2 different years? So that's how I do it in Hudson.
Yeah. No, just ask Bill, you know, give me the appropriate, raise appropriate language.
Okay.
But that has to be referenced in the budget I submitted. This budget,
Warrant articles don't go in the budget?
there's a special articles. This is not part of the operating budget, but each department, if they have special articles, you gotta put in the amount you're looking for.
Okay. I don't know how you do it in Stowe.
Well,
In Hudson, all
there
I
it
do
is.
is
There
do.
were, last year it was 29,000 was requested.
Oh, so maybe we got the numbers right a year ago. So if that,
We try to keep,
yeah, if that,
It says for fiscal year 19, it was 29,000, what year we're in now.
yeah, so there should be money to pay the bill in the spring. I think we guessed at the number when we
Yeah.
put those in. And
Okay.
so, I guess, if you send an email to Julie, she'll give you a ledger, or if you want me to send it, she'll send it to me either way.
Uh,
You want?
Send it to both of us, and we'll both have it.
So you want me, I'll do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I'll do
just shoot
that.
it, a copy to me and ask her to copy both of us.
Yeah.
And that'll be a reminder if we need to go to take care of this with Bill. Okay. We've already referenced this next item, but just so we can say we dispose of it for the minutes. You clarified
Which item? you-
Icedar, Monahan,
Okay,
Cove.
okay, let me talk on that for a minute. So Icedar and Lake Boon, there's a, as you know, and we've seen, and we talked about in the last meeting, there's a project in Monahan's Cove to clean the cove up, and it,
Which we supported.
which we supported, et cetera. We had one issue on it. The issue we had was ice in the winter.
Right.
Well, Hudson Concom had the same issue. I was there. So it's, the orders of conditions they'll receive will be for basically summer only. It's gonna be March. March to April, April to March, I can't get the years right. April to November or April to October, I forget what they're gonna do. But
Okay.
basically, it won't be running in the winter,
Okay, that's good.
so we don't have an issue to worry
All
about.
right, that resolves it, resolves the question.
Now, they haven't issued that OOC yet, but that's what they said they were going to do at the meeting.
Well, they can't start, yeah. Just follow up and make sure they don't change it or something.
Yeah. They,
The applicant didn't ask
No,
them to
the-
reconsider
It
and,
was, the reason they didn't sign it had nothing to do with the terms, it had something to do with the state. There was some letter that hadn't come in yet. Until they got the letter, they couldn't improve it. I don't know.
okay. New business for next meeting, anybody have any ideas at this point? Might have, if we have,
Well, we've already pre-approved that bill, so,
Hmm?
never mind. Pre-approved the
yeah.
bill that
but
will come in.
Yeah, and the one that he's gonna get,
Yep.
for 1,200. Well, we'll figure if we need to do, yeah. We'll need to approve a annual report.
Has to be written first.
I will draft it for our next meeting.
Okay, when is it due?
Yeah, we're more flexible on that, I don't know about you guys.
We are too.
We're more than the
Because
budget
it's
stuff.
not part of a town meeting, so it's only
Yeah.
part of the book they publish.
Yeah.
So if we can get it done by the beginning of January, it's fine.
Well, sometime in January, I think it's,
Yeah.
so maybe mid-January, we've been looking at the meeting, but
Okay.
I'll kick some dates around with you when we get.
I will be gone the last weekend in January, last week of January. Let me tell you when I'm not gonna be here.
Well,
All right, you can kick them around and do it that way, that's fine.
well, no, what's the last Wednesday before you go away?
Well, as soon as my phone talks to me, I'll tell you. There we go, finally.
It's easier to do it when we're sitting here.
The last Wednesday would be the 16th before I go. Middle of the month.
You can be around?
It looks like it, yep,
It's a good date for me then.
Wait a minute,
116.
I'm not.
You know?
I think
So it's the
maybe.
9th, just before that.
I've got something planned, but that might be just before it too. Let's tentatively say January 16th, subject to
Okay.
checking. Okay. That's it. That completes our agenda. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.